Hey everyone, welcome back to Haunt After Hours, where we talk about all things related to the work, chaos, and fun that go on behind the scenes in the haunt industry. I'm Heartless Heather, and I'm here with Molly Poppins.
Hey!
Nanny Janny's out today. She's driving cross country, so she's not joining us, but we've got Big Ant.
Hello, everybody.
And Director Gary.
Hey, everybody.
That's Director Gary McDreamy, and those applications for the girlfriends not been flooding in, so we decided we're going to start doing video so you can get a look at McDreamy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
We may crash the internet tonight.
All right, friends, tonight we're going to be talking about working with nonprofits to build your organization, to build your haunt. But before we get into that, we would normally go to Nanny Janny and let's have a talk about it. She's not here tonight. Does anybody have a feel-good story for tonight? Because I do, but let's see what else. Anybody else tell me something good that's happened this week?
I got a feel-good story, but it's about me. So
all right, let's hear
it. To brag a little bit. So anybody who knows me, on a personal basis knows that for the last 45 years, I think it's been, I have been deaf in my left ear. I was run over by a car when I was 6 years old, and a result was deafness, and I was blind in my left eye for a short time. I did get my sight back when I was very young. But I found out the other day at the doctor's office that I may have an opportunity to get my hearing back. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
After 45 years, that'd be pretty nice.
That just means we're going to have to whisper when we're around you now, or you're actually
that
going to
means
hear us.
you better watch your stories.
Obviously,
already had this discussion.
Obviously the hearing works pretty good if he's hearing Molly's story.
Oh my goodness.
Well, Molly was in the same car as I. She may have been talking. First of all, everybody knows how Molly talks. She's not exactly the quietest type. So,
I mean, I am Portuguese. Y'all should understand that. So.
And she's telling a story. She's pretty excited about, by the way, in a car. So if she didn't want me to hear, I'm thinking other arrangements should have been made.
Oh, my goodness.
How about you, Gary? Anything exciting happened to you this week?
Yeah, the guy I have running the Sea Scout program dropped out, so I've taken over.
Good job.
He really left us in a bind. I think he went out of his way to screw over the program, to tell you the truth.
Oh,
but what he doesn't know is, I've been doing this for a long time. So for me, I'm like, okay, whatever, dude. But he left, we just hauled out this ship, 64 feet long, and they had just hauled it out into the dry docks. Every few years, you got to take down some of the paint. You got to get a hull inspection and all that. And he hauled it out and then promptly left, and then went to all of our sponsors and said we were closing the program.
Oh,
what? Right? Yeah. And I'm the president of the association that is part of the program, and it's just not so. So last week was all damage control and me going up to the ship before work because we're getting charged per day. Every day we're in dry dock. So that means before work, I'm going up there and chipping paint and removing paint and repainting crap and trying to get this boat back together as quickly as possible so I can get back in the water and we can start cruising hopefully in about 3 weeks. So yeah, no, that sucks. But I'm just gonna run it from now on and we don't have to worry about that. So
why? What did you do to him to upset him so much? Did you eat his McFries or something? What happened there? There's got to be a backstory.
He didn't bring him that extra drink or.
Part of the backstory is he was wanting the charter organization, and then there's like there's a nonprofit that I'm part of. He was wanting us to do more for the program, but it was ridiculous things like go up to the ship and collect fire extinguishers once a year and charge them up. It was just petty stuff. And I tell you the truth, I think he was just wanting out. And
he wanted to burn all the bridges on his way out.
Just go away.
It really wasn't a reason for this. I don't know what happened. To tell you the truth, I don't understand why he's upset he's basically taking it out on the kids because it's a scouting unit.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Well, you know what? The good news is they still got you. So.
Oh yeah, no, this is gonna go forward. We're gonna have a good time. We have our first meeting Tuesday night. But as to why he did what he did, we don't know. And he has blocked everybody's phone numbers, and nobody can get a hold of this guy. So he went in and did what he did, and that was it. And there just wasn't any, I don't know why he did that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's where we're at. And
but whatever the reason on his side, I'm sure it's your fault.
I'm sure. Oh, actually, I'm certain it is. I'm certain it is. And I wish I knew exactly what it was, but I don't. I wish you would have.
We've been there before.
Yes, we know the feeling well.
Yeah.
All he had to do was pick up a phone and just say, "Hey, what's going on?" Or he could have said, "I don't like the way things are going. You know, I'm going to back out." Okay, cool. But it said, I don't know. Anyways, it's not the end of the world, and I'm making it go. So
All right. I seen the boat. I seen
Very
the boat on yeah, you had it on Facebook. Good looking boat.
Well, where do you have to go if you're going there before work?
Stockton.
Oh, but you're not working it until afternoon. You don't work until evening.
Right. But
Gotcha.
let me tell you, I'm old and fat, man.
Yeah.
I put in about 3 or 4 hours underneath the ship, chipping paint and moving all around, all silly. Oh man, yeah. It's
Your
like
day
today,
is
I
done.
was podcast. I was asleep. I wanted to take an hour nap, and 2.5 hours go by. My phone goes off, and it was one of you guys. I was like, oh no.
Oh, I got plans tonight.
I gotta get my ass up to Target and get a stupid camera. Get back here by 7:30. Oh my goodness! I didn't even get McDonald's.
No. How are you going to make it through the show?
I don't know. I'm having withdrawals.
You could DoorDash. If they came to your door to deliver McDonald's during the podcast, I feel like that would add a whole new
that would
level. I'm just saying.
What are you doing, Gary? Get on it.
I
Is
think
that your door?
McDonald's is a little too low quality in my opinion. Sorry, McDonald's, but to do that and have them actually bring it over for delivery fee and all that, I might get Jack in a Box.
Oh yeah, I forgot. We didn't even hear this story. Why did you change from McDonald's to Jack in the Box?
So-
Who have sent you in the McDonald's drive-through?
I have an announcement to make. So, going to McDonald's so much is because, I live by myself, and to make a meal is more expensive. It's just easier and cheaper if I go through the drive-through, right? $3, I have a nice little meal, I'm on my way. And, I might die soon from it, but, I've got money. So they have an app, and it's really good. And you can collect all these points, right? The more you use this. And so I have all these cool points, and I'm like, I'm going to go over there and get a Big Mac, or I'm going to go over there and get some chicken nuggets and a Diet Coke.
Eat fancy tonight. No dollar menu.
Yeah, but with all my points, right?
Right.
I get over there the other night, and it says not available because they're only serving breakfast. And I was like, well, that's not right, because they don't serve breakfast. They serve breakfast in the morning. And so I ended up paying cash for it. I went through, and he's like, yeah, that app keeps getting all messed up, but it's been happening. I'm like lunch is in the morning, breakfast is at night, but I can't order both. So I went to another McDonald's, and I was able to use the app there. But I'm not going to drive like 7 miles for a $3, meal.
Right.
Yeah. When gas is $5 something a gallon, right?
Yeah, it's almost $6 a gallon there. Yeah.
So I was on my way there, and I thought, well, there's Jack in the Box. I'll go by there. And my gosh, the menu on there is that you get a nice burger for like $1.29, and you can get 2 crunchy tacos for like $1.29.
Yeah.
They have this cool thing called the Munchie Meal, where you get this big hamburger and these tacos and these fries and a large drink for $8. So McDonald's and I are breaking up.
Oh no.
And I can go there and get a higher quality meal for the same price that I was spending at
This
McDonald's.
might be the breakup of the year.
Right.
Yes, I'm done with those clowns, or that clown.
They're going to be so sad. Their regular's not going to be
They
in.
are wondering where I am. They're probably, he finally died.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. They're probably like, wait.
Like, I know he had a heart. Did anybody call the hospital? I know he had a heart attack. He had to have a heart attack.
So you couldn't just be like, roll up with your app to the window and be like, do you know who I am? And they didn't give you your burger?
For a while there, I was getting free drinks. Like, I'd show up, they're like, oh, just come on in. I was like, okay, cool. I go in there, and there you go. That's how well they knew me down there.
Oh, but now you're not getting free drinks? Is it because they heard your podcast? McDonald's corporate heard this podcast, didn't they?
It might be.
Cut it off.
Joe,
Cut it off.
Joe, I sent you a text message, like you said. You're retarded. So if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened to you. Joe was supposed to be in our movie. And
You have been hanging out with Cody way too much. Cody broke up with what was it, Crumbles Cookie and Turlock?
Oh, did he? I heard about this.
Yeah, they took away his points. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear about this. Yeah, sure, I will. Oh, that's funny.
So, Molly, anything exciting happening? Anything good in this last week? I know it's been a crazy week for you there.
It has been a crazy week this week. I am excited. Tomorrow I do have a job interview, so I'm kind of excited about that. So fingers crossed that I get that, because that'll be really exciting.
My fingers are not crossed for you.
We asked what it is.
Eyes crossed.
It's not at McDonald's. Hopefully I don't get to that point yet, Gary.
She's going to be a car saleswoman. I've always wanted to sell cars. Sorry to steal this thunder. I'm just.
Yeah.
Is that what the job is?
I'm applying. I interviewed tomorrow for a car salesman. Saleswoman.
Salesperson.
Yeah. So
anyways, I'm excited for that. I've always
got a
wanted
plus
to do
side
that.
for Molly. She survived the tornado. Good job there.
Yeah.
So in the past 3 weeks, we've had 2 tornado warnings, and we have another one coming in tomorrow and Tuesday. So I was like, because I'm not from here. So I asked some people that are, and I was like, is this normal? Because I just feel like I've been here for 2 years and I don't remember like so many tornado warnings back to back. And they're like, this has never happened. And I'm like, well, I'm really nervous now.
I don't remember that many tornado warnings back to back, but I was there for almost 7 years, and the weather is just the most unpredictable. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Yes, it's normal to be crazy all the time. Yes.
One of the reasons I'm not really fond of Louisiana, listen, if everything, including God and the weather, are trying to kill you, I mean, from alligators to snakes to everything.
Yeah.
This is not a place you should be.
Yeah. I don't even know. Like I was calling Janice because when the first one came through, because I'm like, well, actually, that's not true. I drove, I'm pretty sure, through a tornado last year trying to get to Heather in Tennessee. Like it was very insane. And so I had called Janice and I'm like, listen, I'm from California. We do earthquake drills. I've never done a tornado drill. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. Like, what am I supposed to do when I'm driving? And, she told me what I should do. And then so I had to call her again. And I'm like, okay, now I'm in a house. What do I do now? Where do I go? So, but
just
one of
put
them,
your arms out like this and float.
right? Yeah, one of them did touch down just right across the lake from us, which was the first week, and that was really scary. Like we had to get in our safe space, and it was scary. It really was. But
safe space.
Yeah, that's
what college
call it. They text you and say, "Get in your safe place."
Oh,
so that's what we did. But hey, we're still here. Everything's still here. So.
Yeah. But it looked like it was pretty devastating to some parts of New Orleans. So
it was.
Oh, it got pretty close to you guys. Didn't one make landfall in Springfield?
She's in Slidell, right across the.
Oh! For some reason I thought you were.
The one that touched down in New Orleans East was literally like it came to Lake Pontchartrain and then came across Lake Pontchartrain, and we're literally right across, but it ended up going up like Highway 12, and we're like on a highway that runs off of 12. So it got really close, but luckily it didn't get here. It was really bad where it hit over New Orleans East, so thankfully we didn't get that.
Right. Yeah.
All right, I want to share my feel-good story of the week. This is crazy for me because I feel like stuff like this does happen all the time. But my mom and I, Janice and I, went and looked at this building a while back because we do escape rooms, and I've been wanting to put escape rooms here in Cookeville, or just do something here in Cookeville. And we went and looked at this building a while back, but it was way too big for what we needed. It had perfect little individual rooms to do like 6 or 7 escape rooms, but then it had this big like banquet hall with a stage and then a back kitchen. And I'm like, man, I just don't need all that. Can we figure out something to do? Yeah, but they want $4,500 a month, and I can't make that kind of commitment not knowing what I'm gonna do. But I drive by it every single day, and I'm like, gosh, I just wish that I could figure out how to do that. And Kason had his talent show. We rented our school rented the venue is the name of it, which is right across the street from our school. And the guy who owned it was telling us that he's looking at this building and he really wants it, but he just doesn't need all the space. He's like, it's got like all these little offices and I just don't need it all. I said, are you talking about the place on Jackson? He's like, yes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I want that space too, but I don't need that big part. And he's like, shut up. Like, let's get together right now and let's get that building. And I was like, okay. So anyways, I don't know if it's for sure going to happen yet, but it's definitely something in the works. And I just feel like it was perfect timing. So I'm really excited to see what ends up happening there.
Yeah, I hope that works out.
Yeah, me too. Are you still planning on heading to Tennessee to shoot the rest of this movie?
No. No. As of like a few days ago, no. I wanted to, but then I needed to move some of the dates back because of this whole Sea Scout thing.
Yeah.
And then Avery isn't available on those dates because she has a live theatrical show she has commitments to. So she's going to be on stage for that time. So at this point, no, we're not going to fly back out there. So we're still looking for a person to do the Frost character. So I don't know.
That?
Huh?
That's the manager, the haunt manager.
Yeah, like the assistant manager, yeah. Who's just like, you think she's real nice, but she's not. She's a cold-blooded killer, which is why they call her Frost.
Like
'cause she's
Molly.
Well, I
Molly
think we
should
know
just-
enough women that should be able to fit that role.
Yeah, I'm
That's
thinking that
nice.
too.
You think we're on actress number 5.
What is the role? Like, what are you
I
looking
said,
for?
I told him I told him I'll do it. He's like, well, then I'd have to rewrite stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry.
Why would you have to, you're not tall enough or what? I mean,
Probably not athletic enough or probably
Oh.
too chunky. of body.
No, what I said was the fight scenes we'd have, because there's a fight scene. And I don't,
Sorry, I can fight.
you're pregnant though.
Oh my, I thought pregnant. That's never stopped me before.
Yeah, she bites. Watch out.
I did not bite.
Oh, she gets
No.
bitten. I apologize. She
I-
gets bitten.
This scar, hold on, somewhere on my arm. That is from somebody biting me, Molly. I've never bitten nobody before.
Well, I mean, you're more than welcome for the role, but we got to get it. We got to somehow get us all together.
Yeah.
Well,
I will be
June.
there the entire
Everybody's
month
gonna
of
be here in
June. I don't know that I need to have that role, but I'll be there the entire month of June. And while I am there, I promise you, when I'm there, if you are available, we can get your whole movie done.
I want to finish this thing. It's getting past time.
Molly, you coming in July?
I applied
I'm coming in
to.
July.
Okay, good.
I think I'm gonna be there. I have to be back to work like July 11th, so I'll be there for June to.
You're
However
staying for
long.
the July 4th thing?
Yeah, and then if we end up doing something in California, I'll have a baby and come down there for that. So
Cool.
In that
They're
order,
all-
please.
I'm gonna be
yeah,
having FOMO like no one's business over here.
You what?
I'm gonna be having FOMO like no one's business if you guys do something in California this year. Yeah.
I'd like to get Mo down here, but I don't know if her parents would allow her to travel down here.
Well, I mean, if Heather doesn't want to do it, I don't mind doing it, but I don't know how long it's gonna take. I'll be there for like a week in July.
You'd work. Yeah, that would be good. No, it's
why is she
Because I
so
can
easy
find-
to work,
It's a
but I
compliment.
can't work?
I
I can
tried-
kick Molly's ass. Okay.
no, both of you would work. But last time I saw Molly, I was like, looking at the film, she was like, no.
I'm not a good actor though. Matt Satterwhite told me so.
Matt Satterwhite.
Well,
did
he would
so.
know, wouldn't he?
Oh,
Sorry,
he
Matt.
was. She wasn't. We were so excited to
If
see
Matt
the
watched
video,
like, ah.
and he would not play it.
He
He's
cut
like,
me. He literally reshot the whole scene. We shot for a whole day, and he cut me from the movie or the video. Literally, it's because I can't. I'm not a good. Do I have to scream? Because I'm not good at that. Unless you actually scare me.
No,
I
Molly,
can't.
it sounds like you just have to be yourself. It's like your role. Like you just put
Yeah.
on a
Matt has been nothing but nice to me, but there's some of his ideas that I'm just like,
he's very talented and good. He just did not like Molly as an actor, and we thought that she was great, and we kind of had a difference of opinions. I never
All I
even
had
got
to
to
do
see
was
it.
scream and run. Like I just feel like
you
what?
got cut for screaming everybody. Oh no.
Why do you
You sure it was the
suck?
screaming part? It was the running part.
Yeah,
It might have been.
It really was. Have you ever seen Molly run? It's
I've
so
seen
cute.
Molly. I've seen her chase somebody around the fairgrounds a time
Yeah.
or two.
I know.
She's pretty
I
quick.
know. I seen her almost go to beat somebody up for me one time, and she was running. Her little legs were moving. I was like, oh,
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be running away from her.
goodness.
Hey, I was voted most athletic in middle school.
Is that
I'm just
your
saying.
McDonald's DoorDash?
No,
Oh,
Jack
it's
in the Box.
Oh,
Oh, it is
Oh, he
Jack in the
seriously
Box.
did have someone DoorDash him right
Oh
now.
my God, how funny
I
is that?
haven't eaten. I think the last time I ate was like around 11. It's been crazy. So I'm eating on camera, and this is my new go-to Jack in a Box.
Why did we not get the delivery person on the podcast? What's wrong with you,
Yeah,
Gary?
because they just did
If they would
the.
have knocked, I would have opened the door, but they didn't knock. They're just like, "Here's your crap," and they ran.
Oh,
Oh,
They don't endorse us in any way, but I endorse them. Jack.
that's so funny. That's so funny. I remember Jack in the Box just being the go-to place after like a night out partying. Like that's where you went. You didn't. And in here, there's no Jack in the Box. And I mean, I'm in past the partying stage, so I don't really know if I'd want it. But I do know that
Two
would suck.
tacos for $1. Who doesn't want that?
Yeah.
Right.
I miss Jack in the Box. I have to go to Baton Rouge if I want to get Jack in the Box here.
Yeah, no, there's one closer on your way to Baton Rouge. Oh yeah, yeah. It's like right. We deliver there.
I talked with a guy last time. Was
Maybe
it
a
in
meat?
Tennessee or
It's in a
Louisiana? I
meat.
think. So last time I was in Louisiana, they used to drive for hours just to go see a Jack in the Box. See, myself, I've just never been that committed to Jack in the Box.
to Jack.
It's good.
That's good.
It really is good. Have you had their ultimate cheeseburger? Because that's where it's at. I'm just saying.
No, Megan. All right. Anyways, back to the show, friends. Big Ant, what's your boo story of the week?
Well, okay. I'm gonna let you choose, Heather. So,
All right.
do you want to hear about a unconventional way of handling disputes, or would you like to hear about a creepy visitor?
Both. I don't know. Do the unconventional way of handling disputes.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
That sounds like we need it this week.
Okay, so I'm going to take you back to, let me see when this was. 2020, I think. Okay, so David, oops, sorry, I just pushed the wrong button here. David Olmstrom is the gentleman's name. Went to court. He had a divorce with his ex-wife, Brittany, and he got kind of screwed, evidently. And in the midst or the ending process of disputing taxes and some visitation rights for him, he proposed that he and his wife or his wife's attorney do a battle by trial, which basically just means they fight to the death.
That's awesome.
What?
Evidently, this was a practice that was never disputed in the law system and the legal system, and could technically be still considered part of our legal system in today's age. He's not the only one to ask for this. In 2016, there was a gentleman in New York who asked for the same thing. This was following a suit that came from, oh my gosh, I lost the story. It came from overseas somewhere, and I can't remember where, and I lost the story, but a gentleman in 2013 had asked for what they consider their DMV, which is the department, their form of the DMV, I should say. He had gotten a ticket on his motorcycle. This particular gentleman got a ticket on his motorcycle for not having it registered. And instead of paying what equated to be a $27 fine, he asked to have anybody picked by this department to represent themselves as a champion and meet him in the Cage of Doom and fight to the death. He, of course, was denied, And not only was he denied, but he was fined what equates to be a little bit over $200 for wasting the court's time and $100 court fees. So it's been tried.
So we
before,
cannot request fights till death, because that's just going to cost us some money. Is what you're saying. Noted.
So on top of that, I had a hard time trying to figure out what story I was going to actually say, and I will save the other one for next time. But once I decided it was going to be one of these two stories, something actually happened here in the Valley last week that almost twisted it. I'm going to go ahead and bring this story up. Some of you may have heard this, but in Tulare County this last week, they had two guys who went to 5 different dairies and robbed people at gunpoint at the dairies. They were caught. They stole at the third dairy they went to. They stole a car, and that person called them in, and they were caught. And they were caught by gunfire. Evidently, there was a shootout that took place. Nobody was hurt, but they were caught. Jeez. So remember a couple of podcasts back, we talked about the worst possible places to
I know.
rob.
I was wondering, what are they getting from a dairy? Like, they're not even exchanging money, right? Like,
well, so what I'm thinking, and I don't know the dairies that well. These particular dairies were big dairies, so I kind of doubt that this was the situation. But somebody had mentioned to me that maybe they were they thought that the people that worked at the dairies were undocumented, and because they're undocumented, they carry a lot of cash, and they would not call 911 out of fear of being in trouble themselves. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I thought that was a pretty big boo.
Yeah.
For real.
Now, how did they get caught though?
The third dairy that they went to, they actually stole the man's car. They took the man's car. So he called it in. He called it in, and they got caught driving the car. They went to 5 dairies in one night.
Jeez.
Did I forget to say that part? They went to 5 dairies in one night.
Those are they get killed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they really are.
Goodness.
Yeah, because you'd think people who aren't carrying, like if they're not, if you have all of your stuff on your money on you, you'd think you're protecting yourself too. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Well, it's like last week's podcast when we told the story about the guy who robbed the bank and then went right out to the ATM and made the deposit.
I know. They're so crazy.
You can't have all your money on you.
Yeah.
You keep bringing up these robbery stories, so I don't know what you're.
I know.
There's something that works here.
If anything ever goes down and they have to compensate his computer, yeah.
That should be our haunt theme song. We were doing some stuff this like a few days ago, and Corey showed up, and me and Anthony's got me in the driver's seat of this train. All the tires are flat, and we're trying to drive. We're not even trying to drive it because it's not driving, but he's trying to push it with his 4-wheeler with me inside it up these ramps that are like this big, and the tires are like this big. And luckily I just see Corey coming down the road, and I get out and I'm like, "Hey Corey, nice to see you. It's time to do some sketchy stuff. So tag in." But it wouldn't be us if we didn't in true fashion do something sketchy over the course of any project. So
All right. So tonight we're going to be talking about working with nonprofits to build your industry. There's several ways that you can bring nonprofits into your haunt. Maybe you're a nonprofit haunt and you're raising money for an organization, but for us and for a lot of others out there that are for-profit haunts, you can still work with nonprofits and raise money for a good cause. You can have a nonprofit come in as a vendor. You can have a nonprofit. You can sponsor a nonprofit, give a portion of ticket sales. We've had like give back nights where we've done different organizations. Like Friday night is this club, you can even do it to where you're working with lots of our friends in
Hillbilly Haunts?
Not Hillbilly Haunts in Missouri. They have they would charge vendor space if they were going to charge vendor space for their spots, but they always have a nonprofit run their food booth and they get to keep that money, whatever money comes in. So that's how they work
Hillbilly
with
Haunts does
nonprofits.
do their
Canned
canned
food
food
drive.
drive,
Yeah.
which I thought was pretty unique.
He said that they've also done like coat drives and different things like that. So there's tons of different ways that you can work with a nonprofit and adding that nonprofit to your haunt is building your audience, because they have an audience, they have a following that they're going to be bringing in, just like you have a following that you're going to be bringing in. Does anybody have any suggestions? I know Ranch of Horror has worked with several like we've done the 5150 as a sponsorship, right? The autism awareness. I don't know exactly. I don't remember exactly how that was worked out, but and we've done we had one year where the different Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts groups were going to come in and do our hayride. It didn't end up panning out that way, but we had several of them that were lined up ready to do the scenes for the hayride, and then they were going to get a percentage, or they were going to get the attraction for that night. So if it was the Boy Scouts running it this night, they're going to get the proceeds from that night for that attraction.
Right.
I have a scout group.
Yeah. Oh, you're ready. You said we might have an opportunity. We're so excited. I can't wait to talk about fun things that we got planned. So
one of my favorite things that I've seen done that we actually did, we're lucky enough that all of our different states that we do haunts in have their college towns, right? So even in Tennessee, if we open up one, you have Tennessee Tech. But this last year we did a partnership with LSU where they had a certain club that wanted to raise money as one of their big fundraisers. So they, we reached out to them and they said, hey, like, can we sell your tickets? Like, we have the perfect clientele here. We have 50 members that all want to sell. So can we sell tickets? And then, split the profit or whatever on those. And I think that those are really fun just because, that's just a huge market. Like if it's done well, that's your perfect audience right there. So, and then you just have people on the ground selling your tickets too. So I think that's really cool.
That's what we, in California, we do that a lot with a lot of the, there's a few different, not even just clubs, but the, sororities, they get together and they'll do that. So there's tons of different ways that you can work with nonprofits. You can do it as a fundraiser. Like I said, you can have them come in and be vendors. You can even sponsor them for a night and give them a percentage of the proceeds. Now there are a few specific haunt nonprofits out there. Like one that comes to mind is Don't Be a Monster, and that's where you're bringing anti-bullying into the area. So they want you to go into schools and teach anti-bullying techniques, and they have characters and stuff that they're presenting, or they're giving you the material to present in the schools. But then at that time you're already in the schools. And so now you can hand out flyers to your attractions or whatever on their way out. So that's a good nonprofit that you can get into. And I know that there are a few other nonprofits that are designed specifically for haunters, that if you're looking for something to sponsor for your haunt season, there's definitely no shortage of nonprofits that you can connect with.
Right. I would imagine in your own local towns, there's probably a ton of them that whether you know about them or not, they're out there. So just got to open your eyes and look for what suits you best. That's what you need to do is don't make an agreement with somebody. That is one piece of advice I will give. Don't make an agreement with somebody just because they are a 501c3. It may be something you don't necessarily agree with, or you don't really want connected with your haunt in one way or another, but or maybe it's just spot specific. For example, we do the festa here in Snelling, St. John's Festa. Our family does, but that's Snelling specific. We're not going to go to Louisiana and raise money for St. John's Festa. It's just not going to happen.
Right. And the another thing that I was thinking is here, and I'm sure it's everywhere because you always hear about firefighters putting on haunts, but here the volunteer fire department, they look for people to help connect with them to put on their haunt. And we were actually approached by a couple of them this last year, and I couldn't make the commitment to do it because I wanted to be at our own haunt, so I wasn't ready to start something new here. But maybe this year, maybe not if things pan out right, but we'll see.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We'll see. You know, you either grow or you solidify what we've got. So.
But like Gary, you've got you're a nonprofit, but you guys have a boat. You know, I've heard of there's one. Well, we have a friend that works at a haunted boat. The Boy Scouts go camping there. Oh, what is that boat called? Anyways, you can do like a haunted boat tour or something like that. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think in the area that it's doable, but there would be some stuff that I'd really have to work out.
Oh. Here, this isn't a nonprofit, but here they have like it's a canoe ride, right? And so you can canoe it during the daytime, or you can canoe, but during the Halloween season, they do a haunted canoe ride. And I haven't done it yet, but I want to do it. Nicolette, Chris's aunt, she's done it, and she said it was really cool. Like it was very cool. I have in Louisiana done one of the haunted bayou tours at night, and it wasn't as scary as like walking through a haunted house, but it was cool because they did have like actors that came out into the swamp. I just would have liked it if it was a little bit more interactive.
I want to do that.
Yeah. I'll tell you right now, you put me in a canoe and you scare me, we're going to have really good video footage because I could just imagine.
I think that's why it's not that's what Nicolette said. It's just not super intense, but it's probably because and this is the same in Louisiana. It's not like I was in a little tiny canoe. We're in a big boat with like 40 other people. But they probably don't make it a bunch of jump scares because they're trying to not have you, you know, they got to make sure you're safe. And yeah, you definitely don't want to be falling into the waters
of Louisiana.
Yeah, anyway. That's for sure.
No. Yeah. No.
That still stuff really spooky though. I'm sure they have all sorts of lights and fog machines going.
Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, the one that I did, it was very fun. It was just an experience to do. It's not as intense as like walking through a haunted house where it's a bunch of jump scares, but it's definitely something just fun to do. I would like to do the canoeing one. I just feel like you can't have 40 people in a canoe. So I feel like it'd be a little bit more intimidating, but haven't done it yet.
That sounds fun.
But anyways, Molly, you don't have any insight on working with nonprofits? Right up your alley.
I do feel like if you do get the opportunity to work with a nonprofit, I feel like you should. I think that we've really drove home that it's important to become a part of your community and whatever community that you are in. So finding that right nonprofit for you that you can, or even doing a different one every year or however you want to do it, I really makes people feel good, right? Makes them feel like you're coming into the community to do something fun, but also that you're really trying to dig roots there. Like you're trying to, help the community. So I feel like in any way that you can figure out to do it, I think is great. I think, even just your wristbands or your fast passes, like we've done that, and some of those proceeds go back to them. Then they have something that has their name on it, or even just, it really, I feel like it comes back tenfold too, because if you do something with a nonprofit and you're looking for actors next year or something, it just really gets your name out there. So I just feel like there's the really limitless possibilities that you could do to incorporate a nonprofit into your haunt. And lucky for us, like we've always just had really good ones. I really like Don't Be a Monster. I'd really like to be a part of that someday. I feel like that's a dream. But luckily in our own communities, we have really good ones like the autism one that we did in the Central Valley of California. Autism it's a huge thing. Like they take it very seriously. Everybody does fundraisers for it. So, just finding that niche wherever you're at with whatever you want to support, I feel like is important. So, I mean, I think there's just so many different things you could do.
So I will throw this into the mix. I thought about not bringing this up, but I think, because I didn't want people to get the wrong idea when we brought this up, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. Because it could be a good marketing tool as well. We didn't do it for a marketing tool, just so you know, but the Regalo family, which is our family, we actually have our own organization called the Regalo Unified Family Foundation, acronym RUFF, RUFF. And the money that originally it was designed, we have here in the local in the Central Valley locally, part of the Children's Network, the hospital in Madera, which is the Valley Children's Hospital. Once again, it's part of the Children's Network, along with St. Jude's and many others. But and they don't have a problem getting money donated to them. That's not what this money was supposed to be for. What we found there was a hole is my nephew at one point was in this hospital, and we were there. We went to go visit with him, and he roomed with a young man that his dad was there full time with him at this hospital. So we were talking with the dad, and come to find out that they lived, like at this point they lived about like 3 hours away. Now, Valley Children's has since made it a goal to make it so that no child is farther than 30 minutes away from from one of their outlets. Okay, so it may not be a full blown hospital where you can take, have an emergency room or whatever, but it could be a care unit of some sort that they can get to, for means of care. And many of them have oncology and that type of a thing. So, the kids that are suffering from childhood cancer and so on, they have outlets that are not 3 hours away. But at this particular time, it was still fairly new to the Valley, and they lived 3 hours away. And the dad was telling us that they had a couple of choices, that he could either quit his job and be there full time with this kid, because the kid, he was looking at like 6 months in this hospital already, and with no end in sight. And he could either quit his job, be there with his son. The mother could quit her job and be there with the son, but the mother had the benefits. She had the insurance that was paying for this. Or the son had to be there by himself. So they opted that he would quit his job. He would be there for the son. And in the meantime, every chance that she got, every weekend or whatever, the mother would come, and they had 2 other kids. So she would bring the 2 other kids as well. And then, on the days that she couldn't be there, she had, not only did she have to work, but she had the family to take care of as well. So there's a lot of expense. Travel expense. I don't think about this. At $6 a gallon, today's market, would you be able to drive 3 hours after cutting your household income down by probably half or more? And while you're there, the hospital, sure, they pay for the son, and he can have a chair pull-out bed type of a thing for the father to stay, but they can't have a whole family in there on the weekends. So they have to pay for the motels. Or there was a Ronald McDonald's house that was next door, but even at Ronald McDonald's, it's still $5 a day. It's not a ton of money, but still $5 a day. Meals and so on. This just adds extra expenses that a lot of people don't think of. They don't realize that. Yes, the hospitalization and the care and treatment and that type of stuff, it's picked up when it can be picked up. And there are donators out there who donate to the hospital for research and so on and so forth. But nobody at that point was donating to the families that needed it in their care. So our organization had developed a way to where we made contact with local hotels, motels, restaurants, where we got food vouchers. We got, overnight vouchers at hotels and things like that we could donate, gas vouchers and so on, that we could donate to people who needed this type of assistance. And so my point to bringing this up is that if there's not an organization that's out there, it takes some footwork. It's not easy to do, but you can start your own 501c3. We did, and use it as as your organization of sponsor. Now you've got the same people. In our case, we have the same people doing the marketing for RUFF as we do for Rancho Four. We happen to have an excellent marketing team, so I'm okay with that. But one of the plus sides from choosing a nonprofit is to merge marketing teams. and to be able to delve into markets that maybe you don't necessarily have contacts with, but the organization that you're working with does. But I'm just saying, in this case, a lot of people, everybody that I know has a big heart. They want to know that their money is going to a good cause. And if you just hook that nonprofit to it, who does not want to give to a children's hospital? You know what I mean? Who in your realm of people does not want to give? Yeah. There might be some.
Heartless, Gary.
Yeah. But
they oh, where was I gonna say? I'm so sorry. I don't even know. The rough did. I'm so sorry. I don't even know. I got distracted by Gary being so heartless.
Rough really isn't. Oh, go ahead.
I wasn't saying. I just said it happens. I was talking about Gary.
What I was gonna say is, with Rough, we have never partnered Rancho Flora and Rough together, but with Rough, as being new, or if you are doing your own 501c3 and maybe your haunt's been around for a while, it's a great way to just get your cause out there, and maybe you're not going to give a portion of your proceeds to this nonprofit at this time, but now you're bringing awareness to this nonprofit, so that other people know that it exists and can utilize it.
Yeah. So using your platform. Yeah,
right.
Definitely. Yeah. I love Rough. I think we should do something just for that reason alone, just to bring awareness to it. I think it's a great cause. So
it's kind of been put on the back burner the last couple of years, but it definitely could be a good thing going. We had to experience now Anthony, when Anthony got into his accident, he was older. He was 20, late 20s, 28 years old or something. And, but still, so the day before Anthony got into his accident, our entire family had gotten together and almost invested every penny we had into a whole other business venture that we were doing, literally the day before he got into his accident. So the very next day, we get this call at 4 a.m. that he's like cut in half and pinned to a machine, and we don't know how to get him off. We're like, okay. So we're trying to look up tickets to get at least my mom and dad out there. And we couldn't find a ticket that was under $1,000. Everything was over $1,000. I don't know if it was because of Oktoberfest going on or what was going on. But after we had this experience, we thought, we really needed to start doing something for families, helping families, because there's so many expenses that come into emergency situations that, yes, your insurance is going to cover the health portion of it, but there's so many other costs that go into things. There's hotel costs, like he was saying. If the accident happens in another state or the tragedy happens where you're not expecting to be, then you have whole placement costs. And
that particular trip, just to get there, cost us like $7,000. Now we had the means. Luckily, we had the means, but there are, how many families do? There's not a lot. We were able to come together.
We had the means, yes, but it was just horrible timing because
it was.
I've always considered myself to be pretty financially stable, but I just remember I wasn't up by any means. I was like, we got to get there. Whatever the cost is, we'll put it on all the charge cards.
Right.
But we were having to put it on charge cards because we had just literally invested everything the day before, thinking we knew we had a plan. And then of course that plan changed. And actually we never even went back to that original plan. So that just wasn't in our big picture, I guess, ever. Cause we never circled back around.
Yeah.
It kind of got pushed to the back burner.
Well, we should probably point out that Anthony's still alive.
Oh yeah.
What's
he
that?
Absolutely is still, he is our walking, talking miracle. He had to learn to, we should have him on the show one day and talk about
tragedies. That's a cool story. It was horrible.
Yeah. He had to learn to walk all over again. And I just remember that was just the saddest thing ever, watching him walk all over again. And then for a long time he walked assisted. And then he was walking with a limp. Now he has a little bit of a limp when he's been moving around too much throughout the day, but you would never know anything. We went from we just don't even know if he's going to make it, to we don't know if he's going to walk, to okay, he's walking, but it may always be assisted, to now he's just walking, talking, moving.
He looked completely normal when I met him. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Well, he was in very good physical condition when he had that accident. Luckily, he was. because had he not been, he wouldn't have made it. There's no doubt in my mind that he wouldn't have made it. He lost a lot of weight, a ton of weight. And, as a parent, you got a 7, 8, 9-month-old running around or trying to walk, that's one thing. But when you got somebody in their late 20s and, you're watching them trying to walk again for the first time, that was very, very difficult. It's not something that I wish upon anybody. But
I remember him being in the hospital, and he would call, like, you would think he's through this now. We know he's going to make it, but he would call and he'd just be like, he's like, people just keep calling me and they keep telling me that, man, you're just so lucky. You're just so lucky. And I cry every time I think about this. He just starts crying. He's like, I just don't feel so lucky. I'm in pain all the time. I'm laying here in this bed. I'm bored. I have nobody to talk to. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do. But
right.
Except for, I did learn, like, they don't want to hear you're so lucky, because they know that they're lucky, but they don't feel lucky. They're in pain. They're miserable.
Right. That's true. So he had a good group of doctors, and he was a miracle child. And, just so I don't know if you guys all know, I'm sure you guys all do, but, this is how bad it was. For us to drive from where he was at to the hospital, we could do it in 20 minutes time. So for an ambulance to be able to do it, they could have probably done it in half the time, 10 minutes. They chose to care flight him. That's how bad a shape he was in. Yeah, they brought in a helicopter. They would not take the equipment off of him until the helicopter got there, out of fear that he was going to bleed out. So here he was for like 45 minutes pinned underneath, a 10,000-pound piece of a tractor, and bent in half with an exhaust pipe going completely through him. And, he was just, he was not in good shape. He told us, he was in Coast Guard, so he knew the symptoms to watch out for. And he said, as long as I felt pain in my legs, I knew I would be okay. It was when my legs started going numb that I got very scared. And,
I think his bowels released, right? And so he got,
he just absolutely, what can you do in that type of a situation? He literally bent over backward or frontwards, and he was folded in half and just tore completely apart. And he
said he slowly lost sensation, like his toes, then his feet, then his legs. And that's when he was panicking, like, okay, somebody move me. But nobody wanted to do, what, you don't want to do something and make the wrong call. And luckily everybody did the right things, because he's still here walking with us today. So,
right. Exactly. Now, and like Heather said, if you didn't know better, you would not know anything happened to him. So.
I met him, and then Janice was telling me the story. I was like, what?
Yeah,
you never met him?
Sad.
No, I didn't.
He did meet him when he was in Louisiana.
Yeah.
But so a tailpipe went through his leg, like right underneath his butt, right? And when the skid steer broke,
it went all the way through him. It actually punctured his bladder, destroyed his bladder.
He had so many infections and stuff that he had to fight through. Like, the whole thing was just disastrous. Like, it very easily could have been a lot worse.
Oh yeah.
But he said that, okay, so the skid steer, like when where the driver is, the glass compartment thing, the glass popped out, and it was a custom glass piece, and they thought that it should be shattered. Glass should be shattered everywhere. They couldn't find the shattered glass. Well, the glass just fell perfectly behind the seat and the door, or the wall. The wall. Yeah. And it was all in one piece. And on that glass, it said, Jesus is my rock. And they were telling Anthony about this, and he's very sedated and stuff. And he says, man, I'd like to get that. I'm going to get it tattooed all over my scar where I got impaled. And my dad, who was like against tattoos, he's like, I just don't think you should be getting that Jesus tattooed so close to your butt. And Anthony, like, I have a bad mouth in front of my parents, but my brothers usually do not. And Anthony goes, well, why not? He saved my ass once. And I was like, oh, he's being serious. So I don't know if there's any believers out there, but that's a really trippy story, because tempered glass, when it hits, it just shatters. And this did not. It stayed one solid piece. So anyways, so that's how we not necessarily got started in our nonprofit, but definitely one of the reasons why we wanted to.
Well, that's how we got started in our haunt business.
That definitely is how we got started in our haunt business. We did the haunt the first year as a fundraiser for the move for the mom, the parents. They're going back. They live in California. The son's in the accident, learning. I mean, we know at this point he's going to survive, but he's learning to walk again and spending months at a time in a hospital bed. So they're going back and forth, and that cost. So
yeah, it wasn't cheap, by no means, but.
All right, Molly Poppins, share with us what are you doing? You're not doing marketing tips anymore.
I'm doing props. This week I wanted to talk about, I was watching a Trans World video. So I didn't get to go to Trans World this year. I was really sad about it. But luckily somebody had sent a video or posted a video in Haunters Hangout, and I was able to like follow along and see a lot of the booths. So that was really cool. And one thing that really stuck out to me was at Distortions Unlimited's booth, which they always have a really great setup there. And they always have really great props, but they had a prop there. And if you guys were there, you probably saw it. It's the mutant animatronic. So I'm going to actually show you guys a video, but I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about Distortions Unlimited. So they are from Greeley, Colorado. Ed and Marcia Edmonds is who runs that. And I just love their like little intro thing that they have on their website. It says their quality props, masks, and creations have been a mainstay of the dark amusement industry since 1978. Long creative hours are spent in gray-walled offices with brain-eating hunchbacks, wall-scaling zombies, and docile 3-foot-tall aliens. The working environment looks more like a nightmare factory than a place of business, and was recently featured on the reality show Making Monsters that aired on the Travel Channel. So I just thought that was really cool. I wanted to read that on here because I do feel like, 1978, that's a long time to be making props in the haunt industry. So it makes sense to why they would be as successful as they are. But I do want to show you guys this prop, and I'm going to try to show you the video of it so you guys can actually see how it works. Just give me 1 second while I bring it up here. I'm going to have technical difficulties. I want to make sure that you guys can see it. So are you able to see that?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know why it's not playing now.
Oh, wow.
Well, what's behind it? Talk,
Yeah.
Molly. So
You got to talk because we
you
can't.
gotta talk to keep
You
the
got to
camera
talk,
on you.
girl.
I got to what?
You gotta
gotta
talk
talk.
in order to keep the camera on you.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Yeah, we do.
I didn't realize that. Okay. So
Yeah.
anyway, this is the prop that I'm talking about. This is their mutant
Oh,
zombie.
I love it.
Oh,
So
awesome. Good deal.
he's on like it's kind of like a metal back, and he basically thrashes around. They've left his arms where in the holds that they're loose, so like it looks like he's literally like thrashing. And I just think it was really well done. I've seen a lot of these different kind of props, and to me, I've always been of the thought process that, animatronics, I like people over animatronics. And we've gone back and forth about this in our own haunt group on, the cost and, the effect and things like that. But it's very hard to execute, where if you were in a room with the animatronic, fool you into thinking that it wasn't an animatronic. And I just feel like this one was executed very, very well. I feel like, we have a scene in our house that we've changed up quite a few times, but basically you go into the room, the door slams behind you, and you're locked in with whatever's inside. And we've done a couple different variations of this, but I just think it would be really cool, like in a hallway, and just not even know where you're supposed to go, and then it's all dark, and then the lights light up, and you see this thing in front. Like I could just see how cool that would be.
I've always been a fan of the actors over the animatronics, but I will tell you that year that we had Jimmy James and he did his whole area was animatronics, and he was one person in a third of the haunted house. And I mean, that was the scariest part of the whole house. So.
I know. I literally could, like, not even lying, could not walk through it. Like, right. I could not. It freaked me out. Like, it really did. Yeah. And he was one actor, but there was, I mean, probably in this small space, like 5 or 6 animatronics, and you just felt like you were surrounded.
Yeah, because you just didn't know which one was going to be real, or it was right. Yeah, and that was good. That was really good.
Right, I agree. So I wanted to show you guys up a little bit. I know that video is kind of hard to see, but anyway, that's what it looks like. You guys can go on Distortion Unlimited's website, their Facebook page, and you can see the video of it. You
How
can see
much
pictures.
is that?
So this one runs $3,680. So, you know, you have to, you know, I don't think that it's super expensive. I feel like, you know, when you factor in how much you'd be paying an actor, as long as you could. The hard thing about animatronics is too, though, like I feel like you buy them with the plan that they're gonna last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, right? That for me, like I have a hard time with that because I just know how rough cast members are on what we take into the haunted house, different things like that. But as long as you can keep it, I feel like things that are made well like this would last, you know, between
but
5 to 10
animatronic
years.
and that situation, there should be no cast member who's near it. You know, the only person who would be touching it would be on the build team or
the customer that gets afraid of it.
That's the problem is the customers, you know, some of them just don't care.
Yeah.
Others
we had one, remember that our first year ever, they pretended like they lost their keys just so that they can go through the haunted house. I walked them through the haunted house and I walked a little bit ahead of them. Well, when I go back, they're literally just tearing stuff apart and stuff apart.
Yeah, they took video. They were taking video cameras that we had set up.
Yeah.
They took a scary baby. Now talk about being in a humorous situation. Try to explain to the cops that these people took a scary baby.
Yeah, and he's like radioing it over to
just shutting down drive-throughs and things like that, trying to catch these people because they thought it was a real baby.
Yeah, they were. But it was so funny because an officer ended up pulling him over down the road, and he's like, they're talking back and forth, like, well, what am I looking for in this car? And he's like telling them things that are missing, and then he says, and a scary baby. Like, a scary baby. Like,
and we weren't talking about Kinsland that time.
Yeah. I'm looking for a freakish child. Like, so there's a missing, but it's scary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, another thing that really grabbed my attention about this too, that I wanted to make sure that I pointed out that I just think is comical kind of, is this thing spits.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, really?
So gross. Can you imagine?
Yeah. And I was reading comments on the Transworld video that people were talking about this, and they said like you had to be there to really experience how high impact it was when it did spit at you. Like it was just an experience, you know. And you can do water or air, but I guess that they had I'm guessing that it was water, I'm not sure, but this lady had said like it was just an experience, like how high impact it was when it hit you. So I could just that just gives me the heebie-weebies to think about that.
I love it.
But yeah, you guys check out Distortions Unlimited. They have a really great website, really great Facebook page. And next week, I believe that we are going to do Toxic FX. That's a mouthful. He reached out today on Haunters Hangout. So we're going to feature a prop from them next week.
Awesome.
Fun.
We need samples of these props, and they need to send them to.
Yeah.
Right. I need to make a PO box.
Yeah, we're trying to. She's got a cool little plan. She's going to be doing giveaways and stuff at the next trade show that she goes to. So
who's that? Janet?
No, Molly's going to be doing it with her with the props that she's reviewing.
Oh.
You know,
I don't expect to be getting $4,000 props in my PO box, but you know, hopefully we can get some stuff that we can physically have.
One year we walked a trade show and kind of did something similar, and they were just giving us just whatever they had in their booth, and we did a whole giveaway all month long on our Ranch of Horror Facebook page, just giving away little marketing stuff that came from booths at a Halloween show in New Orleans. So
I think it's going to be fun. Just got to work out like where people are going to send stuff to and things like that. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited for it.
Good deal.
All right.
Awesome deal. They need to send them to you so you can display them on one of them shelves back there.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Love it.
I know.
All right. Share with us your horror history for this week.
I don't have anything written down, but it's important, I think, anyways. So I'm just going to kind of wing it. So basically, what we're going to talk about this week is Stephen King's Pet Sematary.
Oh, I was going to do a
awesome.
story about Pet Cemetery today. So good.
Oh, cool.
Now I'm going to have to change my story. Hold on.
Why?
Really?
Topic.
No,
Yeah.
because I decided not to do the Pet Cemetery, so I got rid of it, and now we got to go find it. But go ahead.
So you got to go back to Pet Cemetery. I got
Yeah.
So I spent this week at work because, anyways, I have a lot of time where I can listen to
How
like.
dare you?
I know.
And
Are you not dedicated?
And were you listening? Had a lot of time where you get to listen to your book that you
right, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah. So
Okay.
the evening we work as a custodian at a middle school, nobody's around. And if you don't have something stimulating, there's custodians just get really weird. So it's important to keep your brain going.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. A
I'm
weird
a little
custodian.
weird, so it has effect. So I listened to that book, Stephen King, Pet Cemetery from 1983. And last night and a little bit this morning, I watched the two movies. And I'm not talking about the sequel. I'm talking about Pet Cemetery 1 from 1983 and the remake Pet Cemetery from 2019. Excuse me. Yeah, from 1989 was the first one. Anyways, so, to get back to what I was doing in the last few weeks, I think it's really neat to take the book and compare it to the sequential films or the films tied into the book.
I love that you do that. I love that you take the time to do that.
This has been fun. It's been a lot of fun. And just to look at the differences, and it makes you wonder, why would the creators of the film take different avenues rather than just sticking with the book? For instance, in the book, Judd Crandall, he's the guy who lives across the street, and he introduces the Creed family to the Pet Cemetery. And as we know, beyond the Pet Cemetery is the Mimak Indian burial ground, where I really want to see a prequel movie or read a prequel book, because Judd talks about how the Mimak abandoned burying people in that area because the people they were burying were coming back. And they got so frightened from this area that they actually just left the area. And the rest of their, Mimak history just kind of dissolved, because it sounds like they just kind of scattered and were assimilated into, I guess you would say, the New World when the English came over. So I would love to see what led up to that. Could you imagine being in a teepee and there's some dead relative wanting to hurt you? I mean, you don't have walls or anything. These people are coming to get you. Oh my God, that'd be so cool. Anyways,
I don't know.
I really hope.
Your definition and my definition of the word cool different.
I don't want to be there, but I want to watch the story or read it. So I really hope Stephen King, he's getting up there in years. I don't know if he'll do it or not, but it would be really cool if he made a prequel to Pet Cemetery that took place with the Indians. And there's not really a lot of paranormal Indian stories. I wrote one a while back, and it's published out there, but it's only on Audible. It's called Territory Book 1. There was supposed to be a book 2, but I got lazy. But it's a cool Indian story about a curse and all this kind of BS. But anyways, it'd be cool to see that. I wish you would write that. So to get back on topic,
does anybody else feel like Gary's just like an ad for staying single? He writes books and makes comics. He like if you're single, you just have time to do all the things in the world. I'm like, what do you not do? I feel like you're
I'm a boat captain. I wear a full-time job. Comic books, movies.
I know, for real.
I'm so lonely. And so Judd in the book has a wife, right? And in the films, and it's a big talking point. I mean, the whole point of Judd's wife is to strengthen the relationship between Lewis Creed, the father who lives across the street, who has the kids, and Judd Crandall, because you want them to have a tight relationship. At that point, once they have a tighter relationship, Judd feels for Lewis when his daughter and son's cat dies, and they bring the cat back. There's a point to it. She's like an anchor point to bring these emotions together. Well, in the future films, they didn't have her in the first one, and they didn't have her in the remake either. And so when you're watching these two films, and they're both good in different ways, I'm not a big fan of the 2019, but I'm not saying it's a bad film. It was a great film if you know nothing about the book or the previous film. It was a good film, but it could have been better. And with the absence of Judd's wife, because she does die in the book later on, spoiler, the film seemed forced, if that makes sense. The relationship between Judd and the Creeds just seemed very forced. And it just doesn't really work too well. I mean, it works. I mean, you keep your attention. They're both good films. I feel like they're missing something. And another thing about those two films is they're very rushed. And I get that they're trying to stay within the confines of, like, on average, like 83 minutes, right? Because there's a thing that they say where after about 83 minutes, unless you're really throwing a lot of information that's stimulating people's brain, they're going to start getting uncomfortable in their seats, and people are going to have to go to the bathroom. They're going to miss some things. And so people try to stay in those 83 minutes. Now, there are films, as we know, like Titanic and things like that go long way farther, but they're also badass films. But when it comes to Pet Sematary, I really think they could have stretched it out easily past 83 minutes. I think they could have gone, well, I'm saying 83 minutes. I don't know how long the films actually are, but I'm guessing they're probably about 83 minutes long. That's what they felt like. They were just rushed. The story seemed rushed, I guess is what I'm getting at. So I don't know what I'm getting at. Anyways, I've had a lot of caffeine and I'm tired. The point is,
he's had dinner, now it's nap time.
Yeah.
the 1989 version of Pet Sematary was very close. Judd Crandall, the guy who played that guy who's also in the Munsters and things like that, I'm forgetting his name, was just like spot on. I mean, he was like, I really enjoyed him. He had the accent down. It was all creepy. And this is great. I mean, sorry for those people who actually talk like that, but you're creepy. And then there's in the 2019 version, they got John Lithgow to play Judd. And the story that I heard is he wanted to do the accent, but the director said, no, just stay with your normal accent. So he's totally missing the accent, which is really thick in the book. I mean, it's a point in the book that he talks like this because he's from the area. So that kind of sucked. And the whole, it was close to the book up until about the quarter way. And then after that, it just deviated way off. It had nothing to do with the book whatsoever, except there was a pet cemetery. It was just nothing like the book. And it was still a good story. And I get why they probably wanted to change it up. They're like, well, we don't want to show people the same thing they saw in 1989. But that's kind of the whole point of a remake. Now you have better camera equipment. You have just, you name it, special effects. It makes sense to do a remake to make it updated. So they could have stuck with that. But they elected to go a different route, and it just didn't work. It just, in my opinion, it was not Pet Sematary. It was like a generic Pet Cemetery. I just didn't enjoy it too much. Still a good film. Like I highly recommend watching these films. I really got nothing else.
Yeah. I have a question for you.
No.
Not about Pet Cemetery, but what are your thoughts about this Will Smith smack?
Oh. He shouldn't have. In my opinion, that was a bit much. Like I get like his marriage is all kind of screwed up right now, but that was like overcompensating in my opinion.
Right.
Like
he was laughing to begin with, and then just walked up and smacked her.
Well, I think he saw his wife, and I don't think his wife was laughing. And then they thought,
they could have. First of all, he was up for Best Actor award, so the chances are, whether he won or lost, he was going to be put in front of media cameras.
Right.
So that would have been the point to say, look, my wife has this disease. That joke was in bad taste. He would have gotten all the media coverage he wanted and brought light to the wife's condition without having to be a fool.
Right. It just breaks my heart because I love Will Smith, but I just feel like if you hit anybody anywhere else, you would be escorted out of the building. So why was he not?
They did ask him to leave. He just didn't
say that, but I don't believe that.
I don't believe that either, because you would think that would be showed somewhere. There's no
you
video.
Don't go up to somebody and say, oh, hey, you want to leave? you hit somebody.
Yeah.
No, you
And
go
he's sitting in the front row.
Right.
He's sitting in the very front row. You don't think he would have caused a scene? Like one, I don't know him to be like causing a scene the way he did anyway. So that's surprising.
It was a poor lack of judgment, but and I still love Will Smith. I love Will Smith's movies. I lost respect for the decision he made that particular night, but every step he took, and you could tell on his way up there. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Did I lose you?
No, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. All right. You said, uh-oh.
I lost you for a second, but that
you could tell that every step that he thought about what he was going to do. And every step was a different decision. It was a decision to make it up there to hit him. And he had the opportunity every single step to turn around and go back and make a different choice. So I did lose a little respect for him that night, but it is what it is.
Well, speaking of respect, that's what I was going to say. Speaking of respect, like he handled that beautifully. Like it could have been so much worse.
At first, I didn't think he got smacked. Like I don't watch the Academy Awards or the Oscars, whatever.
Yeah, it is
But I was on Twitter messing around. People were all like, "Oh my gosh!" I'm like, "What am I missing?" So I found a video of it, and from the angle, it looked like I was like, "Oh, they're just messing around. He didn't really hit him."
A lot of people thought it's fake. A lot of people still think it's fake.
My father-in-law is one. He swears it's a conspiracy.
He took it.
Oh yeah.
And he bounced back and still.
You could tell like Chris Rock was so shocked afterward. Like, but he just handled it so well. And then I know Will Smith was probably instantly regretting it because his speech afterwards was like, oh my gosh.
I have zero to no respect for his wife anyway. I never really did.
Yeah.
But to allow him to ruin one of his biggest nights. That's
what I was wondering is when he's back at his seat and he's sitting and cussing, nobody is stopping. Like, no, I would think if Chris was doing something like that, I'd be like holding him back. Like, this isn't the time. This isn't the place.
That's what I was thinking too about, like when he got up to walk up there, because how many people did he pass that could have just said, like, they knew.
Well, they probably, but this is the thing. If I see Will Smith walking up to Chris Rock, Chris Rock, holy crap. I'm not thinking, I'm just thinking like he's going to go do something funny or something.
It's part of a skit, right?
I'm not thinking that he's going to.
Damn.
Yeah, I think I read a lot of these people that are talking about thinking that it was fake, but I just feel like Will Smith has done a lot of movies and he's really never got the credit that he really deserved for a lot of those things. I feel like this was his one night, like his big night, right? Like he was finally, like, I just felt like your whole career leads up to this night. Like if it was just a hoax, like why that his career is down the drain. Like he's being pulled from Netflix. He's being pulled from all these places. They're not going to play his movies anymore. Like if it was, what would be the point if it was a hoax?
I think that's overkill. Myself, I think that's overkill. I think that, everybody has everybody loses their composure once in a while. He just did it in a very, bad way.
And I just feel like it was so unwarranted, like that when you are a public figure, and that just comes with the domain. Like,
right. The thing that kills me is, he still thinks that, that his defense was you just don't make jokes about, about people that way. But Will Smith and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air made jokes about Uncle Phil's weight and being bald all the time.
Right.
All the time.
Right. So with that chaos, so I watched that. So where do I want to go here? This movie that he won Best Actor for, we ended up watching it that night and my kids just loved it. But the father actually got online and said, no, like we just do not condone what he did. So I just feel like even the work he did portraying this man, now the family, he's lost respect of the family, for him.
Yeah. So. I don't agree in boycotts because this guy spent his whole life, like his rap music never had cuss words in it. That was sort of his
and I've been waiting for a Will Smith and Eminem meme to come out, and I haven't seen one that's super funny yet. But
but I'm just saying. I mean, why take all those years that he did good and tear him up because of one really stupid mistake, because of one really awful woman? I just don't. I don't think that he deserves to be completely canceled out, but
no, I don't think so either.
I also don't think that that he deserves to keep the award. I don't think, and you can't tell me, okay, well, pedophiles have kept their award. Yeah, but they shouldn't have either. You know what I mean? Just because the Academy made stupid decisions in the past doesn't mean that they have to continue to.
Right. See, and I think if he earned the award, he earned the award. Let him have it. But I mean, he's resigned from I just think that there should be consequences for sure.
Well, yeah, but I mean, okay, so that goes the same as kids going to high school. They all earned to be able to walk down the aisle. But if you catch one drinking on the last day, does he deserve to walk down the aisle, or does he deserve to be punished? Yeah, see. Consequences.
I do feel like
consequences.
I do feel like he should be punished, but I still feel like if you earned it, you earned it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I got a lot of mixed emotions on the Will Smith thing. I really do, just because I feel like it's on such a big platform. But I do feel like everyone makes mistakes. Like everyone makes bad decisions.
Well, Anthony, is that what you were talking about? Because my mic got unplugged. But Anthony,
I'm talking about anybody.
I know.
Listen, you have the right to make your own choices. Everybody has that right. You do not have the right to choose the consequences of those choices. Right. And I stand by that. If you make a bad decision and you know that part of making that bad decision could result in you losing that award, regardless, yes, you say that he earned it. Well, I mean, he was an actor. He earned a paycheck. You know what I mean? When he was doing that, his thought process was not about, I'm going to win an Oscar for this. It was about, I'm making $20 million for this stupid movie is what it was all about. So I just, I don't know. I don't agree that he should have got off completely scot-free, which is what it looks like is happening. And, did his career actually stumble? Well, maybe, but I mean, when you're worth that much money, does it really freaking matter?
Well, I think there are going to be consequences. They're supposed to be doing some review on like April 6th, mid-April sometime. So we'll see what happens and what comes of it. I was just curious what Gary's thoughts were on it, but he's too busy reading horror novels and watching horror movies to keep up with pop culture.
Yeah.
I really can't wait until Gary reviews the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie that I just spent and felt like I wasted an hour and a half watching the other night.
What do you mean wasted? You didn't like the movie?
Have you seen it?
No, I thought Gary talked about it already.
You did?
I talked about the 1974 version, I believe.
Yeah.
There's been another remake which was really good. I think it was 2003.
Yeah, which is the one like that we grew up on.
Oh, yeah, I thought that was great, man. It was with that drill instructor guy. I can't remember his name right now. Oh, he played a freaky dude. And then they made a sequel to that one, but it was supposed to be a prequel. And the issue is the actors had aged, and you could tell, they're looking a little frail. So you're like, you can just kind of go with it, but you're like, this guy's not kicking this dude's ass. He's way too old, to be doing that. He was beating up these teenagers. I'm like, no, I don't think so. But in the first one they made, all right, they got some meat on their bones. Okay, I can see that. I thought they were wonderful films, but you're talking about the direct sequel, because I think they skipped over Toby Hooper's second sequel, which a lot of people like. Don't get me wrong, it's a good film, but it didn't feel like Texas. It felt like a cartoon of the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974. It was almost like, I'm not saying it was on drugs, because I don't think it was, but that's what it felt like. It felt like you had this great film, and then all of a sudden somebody's on coke and then writes the next one. It was just this bizarre thing, in the sequel. They actually had an amusement park that they had taken over, and they were hacking people up and making award-winning chili and winning chili cook-offs with it. And it was just ridiculous, in my opinion. I mean, the whole end of the film was this lady getting killed on this mountain, this man-made mountain in a theme park. I just didn't like it. It wasn't horrible, but I was like, what the hell am I watching?
That's how I felt about this one.
So, yes, but the one you're talking about is they made a direct sequel to the very first one. So now Leatherface is supposed to be old, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so, yeah. I really can't even tell you, to be honest. It was just so odd. Like, really? I remember watching it must have been the 2003 version when I was a kid. And like, that literally is what got me started on horror. Like that is literally kicked off my like love for everything horror. Like I was terrified. I can still remember where I was sitting, what the air felt like outside, like the door was open. Like I could tell you everything about when the clothesline, like everything. Like I remember that. And then I'm watching this one, like, what is actually happening right now in this movie? Like, so I don't know. You have to go watch it. It's the one that literally just
that
came
one's
out.
it's supposed to be unrelated to the 2003 one. I think it's supposed to be a direct sequel to the 1974 one.
Well, maybe I gotta go back and watch that one then. Maybe that's
How many
what I'm
stars
missing.
do you give it?
The new one?
Yes.
Like a half a star.
Wow.
Gary's gonna watch it.
Well, now I watch
Gary's gonna be like 5 stars. This is
Oh yeah.
I'll watch it this week.
Watch it. Let me know what you think. I'm
Is
interested.
it 2 thumbs up, Molly? A thumb sideways?
I mean, like I was like, I tried to shut it off like 30 minutes in, and Danny's like, I'm watching that. So we watched the whole thing.
We need to bring him on so we can get his input then.
Right? I don't know. You'll have to go watch it. I just think, I don't know. It was just really weird. I don't know.
was doing The Shining next week, but maybe I'll do this.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I don't know if Tony didn't want me to say this, but I just want to go back to this. Anthony, going back to Anthony again, this whole episode is just gonna be dedicated to Anthony. His senior year, it was graduation day. They're practicing graduation. They have a break. And they got to come back at noon and do practice their graduation ceremony for the night. And on their break, he goes across the street to his friend's house and they fill up their styrofoam cups with alcohol. And they come back onto campus. Well, one of the campus liaisons sees them and calls his buddy over. Does not call Anthony, calls the buddy over and says, "What's in your cup?" And so, what's in your cup or whatever. And they didn't even think Anthony had it on him. And when we got called to the office for him, they said, we didn't even call Anthony. Anthony just turned around and handed it over to us with his. So on graduation day, Anthony was not allowed to graduate because he brought alcohol on campus. So yeah, they did take that away from him. So maybe you're onto something, Tony, that Will Smith should not get to keep his prize.
Well,
either.
and here's the thing, that day that it happens, when you're 18 years old and you can't walk down the aisle because you've been thinking that was your big glory, that was devastating. And I kept telling him, look, when you turn 40 and 50, you're going to look back and you're going to remember that you have a diploma, but you're not going to remember anything about that ceremony. So it's not that big of a deal. It just isn't that big of a deal. But yeah, I mean, I understand that it could be, but like I said before, you have the right to make your choice. You made a choice. You do not have the right to choose the consequences to those choices. And every bad decision has a consequence, period.
I think they will take that award away from him just because he ruined the award show.
Right.
It
was definitely awkward.
Crap out of people.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I just think if they don't, what is, they're not setting any precedents for the future. You know what I'm saying? Like anything goes.
There's pedophiles that have the award they didn't take the award from. So
what do? You go back years later and say, like, how do you? I don't know. I just feel like past is the past, but this is something we're dealing with right now. Like, do it correctly.
Right. I don't think that they will. I think the fact that he resigned is they're going to consider that to be enough of a punishment. I just don't see, and whatever.
And he probably resigned thinking the same thing.
It's just a stupid trophy. I don't care. Right. It's an Oscar, and
he's already got his moment of fame for it. We all watched him get it. We all heard his acceptance speech. So what it matters if they take it away?
But like a high school clique.
Yeah.
There's so many thousands of films made every year.
Right.
And it's always the ones that are big budget, high impact, very popular because they had the money to promote their product. And rarely do you get the small obscure film that Joe whatever made.
Yeah.
Super good.
Well, going back
Gary
to my
Duffy, the Ranch of Horror.
Yeah.
Right. Huh?
going back to my favorite the Kardashians, like I love talking about the Kardashians. But they have Pete Davidson. They were saying that they're trying to get him to now host the Grammys, and they're like, don't now Kanye's going to have to one up Will Smith. And I'm just really excited to see all that play out. But I love Jimmy Kimmel's opening for his show. He said, he's like, Will Smith had Kanye West saying, "You did what on an award stage ceremony? Like, why? What you did what?" Because Kanye is known for going up on stage and interrupting and telling people they don't deserve awards.
He
took Taylor Swift to give it to Beyonce. Yes.
Oh my God.
We could have replaced those two with Heather and Molly, and it would have been the same thing, though.
Wait, I don't get it.
You don't get it? You would have been Taylor Swift in that situation, dear.
And who would Heather have been? Beyonce?
No, she would have been Kanye. I have seen Heather take your award away from you.
I'm like, what are we talking about?
On more than one occasion.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I know Molly can handle it. She'll be all right. She knows where to get the more if she wants some.
Yeah. I know, but that one time it was an apple chick apple. I just really wanted
and she just gives them to you all the time. Like, what are you worried about?
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. All right.
I know my value. I don't need a trophy.
Yeah. We made ourselves a trophy. We got called on the internet and amateur haunt, and I presented Janice with the amateur haunt of the year trophy when we had our greatest year ever. Like, it was so funny. Okay, so I'm gonna be talking about actually my story tonight. I'm going to do two, but one of them does talk about the Pet Cemetery in Los Angeles, California. But before I get into that, I'm going to talk about why I'm looking up animal ghost stories. So there is a belief that dogs and cat, like animals, just are more in tune with their sixth sense than humans, because humans, one of the from the American Kennel Club is, I was reading articles and somebody said, like, well, humans work and you got so much going on that when you see something out of the normal, you can process like, no, that's this because this and this and this, you can talk yourself out of not thinking you're seeing something. But animals, they don't have that to do that, right? Because they don't leave the house. They have their own environment. Like, what's in their environment is all that they know. Well, my dog has been sitting at the doorstep, like he'll not at the doorstep, but at the stairway going down, and just starts barking like crazy, like at 3 a.m. every night. And it scares the crap out of me. And I'm like, why? And he just he doesn't go to chase, because normally if there's something, like if it's a person or something, he wants to chase them or be brave or whatever. But for whatever reason, he just stands there and barks.
Glad I'm not going to your house.
I do not like it.
This is scary.
Well,
you got no AC? You got a ghost? No.
I have AC. They just want to charge me $7,000 to fix it, and I haven't decided it's broken yet. Like, anyways, I also remember when I had Bandit. Like, Bandit just was a very intuitive dog. Like, he knew if I wasn't pregnant, I could walk him and he'd kind of pull on the leash, and, he's like walking me and I'm dragging behind. But once I started getting very, very pregnant, he just knew like to stay with me. And right before the days before I had each of the kids, he was just by my side. Like he knew I was in labor with Corinne before I even knew I was in labor with Corinne. Like, he was barking, or not barking, but just like panting by me and staying by me. The same thing with Kaysen. And then with Kinsland, I was walking one day and, he was right there walking with me. Like, you could just tell he was just nervous for me. Right. So I feel like these dogs have these sixth sense. In fact, when Kinsland was sick, Bandit was the one that was acting funny too. Like, he wouldn't leave her side. And I told Chris, like, this baby's acting funny. He's like, the baby's sleeping. She's 9 days old. That's what babies do. I'm like, no, the baby's acting funny. Anyways, so the dog believed me, but the husband didn't. Anyways, so I was researching, like, I wanted to see other animal ghost stories. And what I wanted to see, not necessarily like ghost stories of the animal being deceased and crazy things happening, but that's the stories I have for you tonight. But I was trying to look at the other end of like them, like I'm saying this dog is barking at 3 a.m., but I wanted to see other people's whose dogs are barking at 3 a.m. and what it resulted in. In doing that research, I came across this one. It's called, now this is coming from postbark.com, and it says that this took place in Los Angeles, California, and it's the Pet Cemetery to the Stars. The Los Angeles Pet Cemetery is a 10-acre memorial park in Calabasas, California. It's home to the famous and not so famous deceased pets of California. Among the animals, there are Tawny, the MGM lion, one of Petey's from the Little Rascal movies, Hopalong Cassidy's horse topper, and Kabar, Rudolph Valentino's dog. Kabar was Valentino's Great Dane. It's said that when the idol died in 1926 in New York, Kabar suddenly let out a horrible howl, and he was 3,000 miles away at the time. Kabar died in 1929 and was laid to rest in the pet cemetery, and since then, visitors who visit the cemetery report hearing barking and panting near Kabar's grave. And they say they've even been licked on the hand. And there's actually video of people recording this panting at the gravesite. So that's something to look up if you guys are interested in dog ghost stories. And then this other one that I want to share with you is here in Nashville, Tennessee. This is the Belmont Hillsborough neighborhood in Nashville, Tennessee. And a good-hearted boxer keeps visual over young trick-or-treaters. According to Ghost Dogs of the South, which is an article, it says that Preston, the dog, accompanied some trick-or-treaters when he saw a boy trying to pick up candy he dropped in the road. Preston saved the boy by knocking him out of the path of a speeding car, but Preston was hit. So the little boy goes to pick up candy, the dog comes, nudges him out of the way, and in the process of saving the boy, he ends up getting hit. Now, every Halloween for the last 50 years, children have reported being bumped into the sidewalk when they step off to the road while trick-or-treating or go too slowly from house to house. So apparently there's just this little ghost dog nudging kids around on Halloween. So
cute.
Those are my paranormal stories for today. They're not as creepy as they would normally be because I needed something lighthearted with these 3 a.m. calls I've been getting every morning from my dog. I'm like, I don't want to do anything scary because I don't want something scary coming to me. I can handle a ghost pup.
I was watching a video the other day of a hotel in Nashville that a little girl had fell from a window of a hotel and like down into the creek or something, and that people like still report going to the hotel and hearing her cry or hearing the sound of her falling. And me and your mom were talking about it. But yeah, I feel like you should go and check it out.
Chris stayed at a hotel in New Orleans. I hear every time we pass by it, Hotel Montillon, and he swears like that he's seen a face over him in the middle of the night. Like he had one of those sleep paralysis moments where he could not move when he woke up. Ooh. And this face was just over him. And he is just never really into stuff like that, but he swears that place is haunted. And
is that the is that the one that they advertised to be haunted?
I'm not for sure. It's the one, I think it's got the carousel it's got a carousel bar.
Oh yeah. I don't know. There's supposed to be one in New Orleans that's like super haunted. Like you can't stay there without something happening to you. And I've kind of wanted to do that, but I'm kind of nervous. Like I only do it if you do it with me.
I can't do it because the thing with me is they like stick to me and they don't leave, and I don't want that.
Yeah, that's true.
I have a paranormal story. You saying 3 a.m. is what made me remember this. So I was probably in the 7th grade. My parents rented a house, and it was a nice house. But we were only there for a few months. We didn't leave because it was paranormal haunted. They just ended up buying a home. So it was like a transition home. And again, it was very nice. But the lady who lived there previously and had a stroke in the home. And it was in the hallway. And she was living by herself. She was an older woman. And 3 days later, they found her. And she was still alive. But she had been in that hallway for 3 days.
Jeez.
Yeah. And so, obviously they took her to a home. She couldn't come back and live by herself. And the house came up to rent. My grandparents knew the people, so we moved in. This is where it gets weird. So I want to say Tuesday or Wednesday at about 3 o'clock. So about 3:30, because I remember I'd get off school, I'd ride my bike home, I'd get there and I'd be watching the Beverly Hillbillies, and I'd make a big old glass of iced tea. I was all happy. But every Tuesday or so, around 3:00 in the hallway, it sounded like someone was just violently kicking the floor. This would go on for about 5 minutes.
Oh, no.
There's nothing that would make that freaking noise.
No.
Nothing in the home that would do that. And so it got to the point where I knew what time it was going to start. I would go out into the front yard and just stand there for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then I would go back inside.
Oh my goodness.
And so I don't know, but see, the thing is, she was still alive.
Oh.
So I'm like, what was that? And
Are you
then
sure she was still alive?
I'm pretty certain she was still alive.
Wow.
And then the weird thing was, though, that house, we never had to run the air conditioner because it was always nice and cool. But it'd be hotter than hell outside. But there was definitely cool spots in the house. And there were some other things too that was weird. Like one time my mom was getting ready for work. Now I should tell you guys that these people were Dunkards. So they made all their own clothes and things like that. And so my mom was brushing her hair, getting ready for work, and she looks down the hallway and there was a man down the hallway. So you can see where her bathroom was, the master bedroom. You can see clear down the hallway to the other end of the house. And there was a man there in Dunkard clothes. And my mom thought, oh, it's probably one of her friends who came by to check on her. And he's probably wondering, who's this lady? And so my mom put down her brush. She said, hi, I'm sorry, we rented the house. And she started walking in the hallway. And as she was walking down the hallway, the man turned and started walking in a different direction. And I was like, hey, wait, hello. We live here now. We're renting the house. Nobody was in that house.
Oh, I don't like that.
No one was in that house. There was a time when I was building this thing for math class, and we had all these sugar cubes, and we had to build this like pyramid or something out of sugar cubes, or a diorama of some sort out of sugar cubes. It had to do with math. And my friend Tim was sitting across from me, and we were talking, and I remember I looked up, and somebody ran from the bathroom past the hallway and down the hall. But it wasn't my mom. It wasn't anybody who lived with us. And there was nobody who did that. It was just I saw somebody go from the bathroom and run. It was a hell of a thing. My bedroom was probably the coldest bedroom, I remember. And it always felt like it was the most calming house. Every time I went there, it just felt like home. And you always felt calm. Everybody was always relaxed. It was some type of vibe going on there. And I don't know what that was, if it was her or it was a family member, or if it was just all a weird coincidence. I don't know what to tell you, but even my mom to this day was like, yeah, we all miss that house, because it was just always a nice feeling, except for Tuesday around 3:30.
It was a nice feeling, except for these random people showing up. Nothing about that house sounds calming to me, Gary.
Besides that, but you did always feel like you were being watched at all times. It felt like you were being watched.
You were never felt alone.
No, you never felt alone.
You might need to move back there, Gary.
But at the same time, it wasn't like a threatening feeling, but you always felt like you were being watched. It was
when I was a kid, I had a really good friend. We live in an apartment complex, and I would go over and spend the night there all the time. And it's really weird. 3:00 in the morning must be a thing, but like around the same time, almost every single night, all of the toys in the toy box would end up on the ground, like all of them, like nothing left in it. And then we would wake up and we'd get in trouble because like, why did we make such a mess? But we had to put them all back the night before, So it happened for a while. And then I think that her mom like started to catch on when they had cleared out their master bedroom to do some work in there, and they had a toolbox in there. And that night they had put everything back in the toolbox in the middle of the room, and around the same time that morning every tool was out of the toolbox in the room. And so they had called somebody, and this is actually why I believe in paranormal stuff. Like I probably wouldn't have a lot of reason to other than this, but we were there, like all the kids, how like when you live in an apartment complex, all the kids, like everything that's going on, everyone knows, right? So we were all there, and they brought a priest from a local church there to like just christen the house or something, whatever they go in and do. So like he had holy water, and like he was all prepared to like make this family feel better about where they were at or whatever. I'm not kidding you. I wouldn't lie. This guy went to walk through the door, and it looked like somebody pushed him, like put their hands on his chest and pushed him back out the door. And there was no one in front of him.
Yes.
Oh, I
like we all watched this happen. And I'm like, if you think I'm staying the night there again, like that's a dud. But
I don't
that
like
was
that.
that was my like first like run-in with anything paranormal like that, and it scared me for a long time, like to see that. And the guy just it freaked him out so bad, he's like, there's nothing I can do for you, and he just left.
Wow.
Like,
Nice.
and
That's the
whatever
very
that was, like,
opposite I would expect.
I think about that every single time that Heather says like something's gonna attach to me. Like I remember seeing like the fear in that guy's eyes, like whatever
Yeah.
that was not friendly. So
They just do. Like they like you were there at the cemetery when they just
Yeah.
call me out by like
Yeah.
I just don't want nothing to do with. I probably could be the next big psychic thing, but I just don't. That's just not something that I want to feed into.
You pronounce psycho wrong.
I know, I know. I did live in a house that's very similar to the way Gary was describing it. We had like I've talked about it before, where this guy, we called him, and in fact, he looked like the neighborhood watch guy. That's how I will always describe him. But later on in life, I was talking to other people about it, and they've seen the same thing. And there's a whole, in fact, there's a whole thing on is it on Prime or something? But where it's called like the Hat Man. There's a whole documentary. So it's not just me that's seen it. There's thousands of people that have this experience with this Hat Man figure ghost, or whatever, shadow person, or whatever they're calling it. But that house, the whole time we lived there, I lived there from 5th grade to beginning of my 9th grade year. And I never stayed one room, but one night, not one single night did I ever sleep in my bedroom the whole time I lived there, because I was terrified. There was no comforting and calming.
From the age of 6 months to 18
Yeah, I was
years.
sleeping. I did sleep in my own room when before that I would get scared and like go and sleep in your
The
guys'
floor
bed.
next to my bed is not your room. Dear.
I guess it's like, I'm really weird. Like now that we're talking about this every week, I feel like I need to look this up, but I feel like I've always like, especially since I lived at the Rulin house, I keep feeling like your peripheral vision, like you see something and you look and nothing is there, but like something passes. And it happens to me all the time, but it was like a lot at the Rulin house, but it's still happening. So now I feel like I need to look that up, because you're making me feel like you look all this stuff up and there's these other people like,
Yeah.
you just
floater.
yeah, but
no, like
So-
this.
I'll tell you a story about Heather and Travis. So Heather and Travis used to fight about sleeping next to our bed, Janice and I's bed. One night she comes in there and
there's 8 years between us.
And she comes in there and she turns on the light and wakes everybody up, and she looks at Janice, and because that night Janice earlier had said nobody sleeps in our room anymore. Nobody. Well, Travis had sometime during the night made his way in there quietly and just got down on the floor. Well, Heather comes in there and turns on the light and just yells at everybody and says to Janice, "I thought you said nobody can come in here anymore." Now, keep in mind, she was on her way to do the exact same thing.
love it.
That particular house, that she's talking about, though, we later found out just a couple of months before we were moving out that a guy committed suicide actually in our closet. So coming to our room was probably not the best thing.
Right.
But yeah, he had hung himself in our closet, evidently.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Wow.
they say that's where the creepiness came from the house, but
there was a lot of activity in that house, though. I mean, just a lot of activity, but in Houston in general, everybody that there's not anybody I know from Houston that doesn't have some kind of story of something happening in their house.
Yeah.
Like
Houston, just by itself, just a drive through, looks like a storybook out of its own. Just,
yeah.
I'm not saying it's a horrible looking town, but it's very.
I think it used to be very cute. I don't think it's as cute as it could be anymore.
It looks like there was a lot of potential there at one point, and then it's like, what happened?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a unique looking town. You go through like Escalon. I know for people listening, they don't know what we're talking about. But Escalon is this really beautiful downtown, and it's just as old as Houston, I would imagine. You can tell from the architecture. Then you go to Houston, which isn't that far away. You're like, where am I? It doesn't even feel like California.
Yeah.
Well, to me, I think I don't know that Gary would know this, but Houston has the same feeling to me. Like I feel at one time I feel like it was like a prestigious thing to live in Houston. Like, if you worked in Turlock or Modesto and you lived in Houston, that was like a good thing or whatever.
Mhm.
But the downtown part of Houston and everything, it just reminds me of Winton anymore. Like it's just
Yeah.
there's just nothing to
Yeah,
it.
that's what it is. Yeah. Very desolate almost feeling.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel right. I like it though. I like it.
Oh, Gary.
I like
keep
that desolate
talking.
feeling.
Gosh, this is why the applications for the girlfriend are just flooding in.
I love the wall art.
My Alexa is talking.
I hate that. My Alexa will just start talking too. It's so
Oh,
scary.
that's
dude.
crazy.
Tony
Like
said
all the way on the other side of the house.
Oh,
yeah, mine does that sometimes too. Or I'll say something to the kids and then Alexa will just like respond, and I don't like that at all.
no, I don't have that issue at all. Mine barely talks. All mine will do is start flashing a yellow light every once in a while. I'll be like, well, I don't want to say it, but I'll say play notification. And she'll be like, what did you think about this thing you bought? I'm like, really, dude? I don't want to put
The
I don't-
other day,
whatever.
I always put the kids to bed with like I'll say, hey Alexa, play instrumental lullabies, and that's what they go to bed listening to. And the other day I said, hey Alexa, play instrumental lullabies. All of a sudden, something in a backpack started going off, and I have an Alexa upstairs, and I have an Alexa downstairs, and Nicolette has an Alexa in her bedroom. So there's 3 Alexas in the house. I'm like, where the hell? We don't have a 4th Alexa to be. It was Corinne had my mom's iPad, and I guess. Apparently iPad answers to hey Alexa, do this.
Yeah, you can put the Alexa app on there.
Oh, I didn't
On
know.
Apple? I thought that was.
Wait, yeah, on an iPad? I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, that's isn't it an Android product?
it is an Android product.
I don't know. I don't know.
You would
but-
need to check that backpack for some air tags or something.
Yeah.
Well, that's weird.
All right, friends, if you are still listening, obviously we have some content that interests you. So we're going to ask that you share this podcast with your haunt families. That's our target audience. If you have anything, props that you'd like to be reviewed, you want to share with Miss Molly Poppins, or you'd like a movie you want reviewed, or you've got a boo story of the week or a feel-good story.
Wait. We didn't check out Molly's hammer. You were supposed to show your hammer.
I know. I haven't done anything this week because we were busy. We've been busy.
Yeah, but
this week.
you didn't show it last week on there, did you?
Oh.
Yeah. I thought
No,
I
you
did.
didn't.
Oh, he didn't play a video.
Oh,
No, you
okay.
didn't.
I'll show it. Hold on.
We can't sign off just yet.
I know, right? All right. Shoot. Just a second.
You showed it to us. You showed it to us after we got off the podcast.
Okay. All right. So this is my prop hammer that I'm trying to take suggestions on what I should do to it. And when I got it, I wanted to make it into a clown hammer. So just strip it down and recreate it. But then Travis had said last week, like maybe you should just do something completely different. So if you have any suggestions on what we should do to it, write us at hauntafterhours@gmail.com or hit us up on Facebook. And we're going to build this prop as we go through the weeks, each week, hopefully doing something different. But I was busy this week, so I didn't get to do anything to it. So
I love
What it looks like? It looks like you have a small propane tank on the end of that hammer.
it's a keg.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it looks like a keg with a spout. I don't think there's anything more you need to do to it.
Fill it
It is
up.
a keg.
Looks like a perfect to me.
Fill it up and give it to Sober Dave.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, friends, if you're still listening, obviously we provided some content that you've enjoyed. We're going to ask that you share this podcast with your haunt families. If there's anything that you have that you'd like to contribute to the show, send it to hauntafterhours@gmail.com. If you want to, share haunt or movie reviews, or what are we doing? Prop reviews, or you got a boo story of the week, or you got a feel good story, your haunt's doing something special and good.
Yeah, sure.
If you even got a scary story you want to share with us, we want to hear it, read it, get you on here and share it. That's hauntafterhours@gmail.com. Until next time, let's stay connected and remember.
Do it.
All right. Do we stop recording?
And cut.